Alright, dealing with misfire today. This is a GMC Acadia or Terrain or something. Either way, it's got a 2.4 in it. So I need to finish a car before I jump on this, but I just want to show you what we got. P0300, P0352, and P050D, which is cold rough start at idle. Now, I will say from the customer when they called, the previous mechanic did a tune-up on it. I understand, changed some coils with no avail. Now, this car, I will say I've got a while ago, and I wound up doing a timing chain a long time ago, but I will say, got it reversed now, there's no rattle. You know, there's nothing wrong with allegedly what I did. So hopefully, I'm hoping like there's no issue with the trigger wheel or anything off the wall. But I mean, it runs good. I mean, it's smooth. It's just, there's no hard miss. Real quick though, let's see if we can pull up a misfire graph and see what's happening with that. I'm assuming it feels like injector or fuel related or something, because I mean it's so faint, but at the same time I do need to clear this code because GM is pretty bad for potentially shutting down. Let me see if misfire, I know I probably completely overlooked misfire data and it's right in front of my face. Probably, here we go, right here. Will disable the injectors, prevent catalytic converter failure. Cylinder 2 misfire. And it's a hard miss. So if I rev it up, it stops. If I let off, at idle, it misses. It seemed like it's a spark plug, like a poor gap. That's really what I got my thoughts on. But at the same time, what if it's like a weak injector? But at the same time, I don't want to overlook what the car is not satisfied with its ignition coil. So if it's saying that there's a coil circuit problem, let's see what freeze frame states. If it's circuit related, then obviously I need to check the circuit because they're likely, I think this is a 3-wire system. There's some potential feedback problems. So what we could do is do a resistance check, being that there's probably a backfeed or some confirmation issues. Just throwing some ideas out here. Ignition cycle complete test, engine load, short term, fuel pressure, map, mass airflow, fuel rail pressure. So this just came on during the initial startup. It seems like, okay, I'm gonna, since I got it on film, I'm gonna go ahead and clear the code. See if it changes. Let me shut the car down. Clear it. Okay, let's see what happened. I'll start it back up. You heard that noise? Like, it sounded like it had like low compression. Okay. And she would say, you know, it will start up okay, and as soon as she started driving, it'll start misfiring. So let's go to misfire graph again. Just so faint, it's not a hard miss. Yep, so cylinder 2 is still misfiring. Cool. Let me get this oil change in this other car and get it test driven, and we'll come right back to it. All right, I'm back at it. I got the got in the garage, and still that initial startup just sounded like it got low compression in a cylinder. It is like a drop off. Now, in this particular situation, oh shoot, I'm screwing up life. Hold on a second. In this particular situation, I'm not going to like have to do any type of relative compression test or anything, because I mean the cylinders are right there in front of your face. And if anything, I'll just pull the manual gauge out, the analog gauge, and do a regular old compression test. But first things first, check the oil, and I'm gonna look at the coolant, because the coolant level looks a little low. Maybe that'll be an indicator of what's going on. One thing about this engine, I mentioned mentioned it in a live, but this vehicle has a problem with condensation accumulation in the PCV system, and it's kind of like that here. This stuff, it looks milky, but usually that's associated with, because it's plastic, and then you have moisture and condensation, how that builds up, it mixes with the oil over time, and the PCV system can get clogged up too here. So we might see that. So I'll be sure to just make a note of that when we pull this off to inspect that coil. So first things first, let's check the oil. So just my thing is, don't get that misconstrued with the blown head gasket, just because that's there. Let's see what the oil's looking like. Now, again, I've done a lot of work to this car, but I understand some people are like, well, I'm gonna take it somewhere else and let somebody else make my money. It's cool. I'm not a tenacious mechanic. This is our oil level, which is full. Make sure it don't smell like any gas. I'm gonna be honest, I've been dealing with brake cleaner for so long, I can't even like smell gas like that. So yeah, it's in the cross hatches. So we're good on oil. It may not look that clean, but it's fine. Alright, let's see what this coolant level looks like. And it looks low. It is low, but it's not like severely low. I mean, I'll top it off. You want to see it. This is the coolant level. It does look like it does look kind of milky anyway, like it could potentially be mixing with oil. We're gonna pull a sample out right quick and look at that. This is the fluid. Looks normal. It's not cloudy, like it's mixing with oil or anything. All right, move on to the next step. Pull that off. Intake. Hose, air filter assembly, or what we want to call it. Get that out of there. Should pop up in the back. See some of that condensation coming out on the side too. If you notice that. Oh gosh. Yeah. Look at that. So likely I'll see a clogged PCV system. That is not an indication that the head gasket is blown at the moment. So if you see that, don't sell a head gasket. It could be in the cap too, but it's not. That'll probably be a better indication right there that there's a potential blown head gasket. See if I can pull this out without breaking it. This isn't stopped up. I'm still going to blow air through it and check it and make certain that that's not a problem. I'm going to pull that off anyway just to check the PCV. This will contribute to oil consumption also, because the PCV system is blocked. Yep, and that's exactly what we got going on here. But that's Likely not a contribution to the misfire she has going on. Show you. That is a stopped up PCV system. Look how blocked that is. Just I suspected. And again, I've dealt with this before, so this would help alleviate oil consumption. So you want to be able to blow some air in here and through. All right, let's move on. Figure out this misfire. All right, let's pull this plug out. So we're going to number 2. We have the first cylinder is always going to be at the timing chain. 1, 2. We're going to pull one out that is a neighboring cylinder, so we have a point of reference. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a mark on the coil that is, we call it into coil. I can't get it right. Call it into question, and so we won't get them mixed up. All right. Let's pull. We're going to do a little question mark. Just like that. And I think I should be able to pull it out. Okay. So one thing we want to do is inspect the boot of the coil, because what could happen, it'll arc and we can have a faint misfire down low. But again, this one doesn't seem aggressive. It doesn't seem aggressive, like it's missing really hard, and it clears up when we give it throttle. It's not affecting all cylinders, it's only affecting cylinder 2. So which still leads me to believe it's like the plug. Let me see if I can pull the boot off. Inspect the spring. And that looks fine. Oh shoot. Gosh, I almost dropped that joker. Inspect the spring, that looks fine. I don't think it's gonna focus. What's this? What is this? Oh, that's just gel. Tripping. Alright. What's this? You supposed to make a noise like that? Oh, hold on. Let's pull this out. Oh, I think that resistor goes inside of that also. Yeah. I think, yeah. This, I don't think this is supposed to be fixed in there. It's supposed to go inside the boot. I really think this consolidates the spark to be able to like amplify the pressure. That's just this method is brought to you by those who totally dislike me using the impact. You can tell somebody been in there already. These things are tight. Let's use this to pull them out. This is number 2. Let's see what. Oh, look how foul that is. I might have been right. I've been on to something, because it sounded like a, like I said, it sounded like a fuel problem. Look how I'm about to say, I can't get my words out. Look how much buildup is on here. Look how much carbon is on here. There's no carbon. It's just fouled. That's what we got. This will do it. And like I said, I'm like, this had to have been a spark plug problem. Now, if a coil's weak, it'll do that too. So let's see. This is number 2. All right, so we're gonna put that there. That's our problem child. If a coil is weak, it will fire improperly. This is number 1. Now, she told me the guy put spark plugs in here. They could look a little better. I don't know when specifically, but you know, they look. This one looked okay. Focus. It does look a little aged. I don't know specifically, but I'd expect them to be a little clean, but hell, maybe it's because I touched it or something. Now, what I could do is simply swap it, see if the problem follows, but being that this plug is fouled, I mean, this is fouled enough to be able to cause a misfire. Come on here. This is definitely foul enough to cause a faint misfire. And it's predicated based off of environmental conditions inside the cylinder and plug quality. So I would rather, I could clean the plug, see how it responds. We could do we could hook up the oscilloscope, check the condition of the coil by looking at the current ramp. So I could just leave this in there, but I don't know if me touching it changed the state of it to where, well, no, because I'll be looking at the primary. The current ramp's not going to affect anything as far as the waveform event. We're just looking at the state of health of the ignition coil. So let's do that. I'm gonna clean this because this just could have been the fouling could just been a byproduct of a failed coil. Come on here, focus. So this could have just been a byproduct of a failed coil. I'm gonna clean this and just check the current ramp. Hook up on the power feed and see how well it builds current, if it's a good current ramp. Go from there. All right, I got it clean with the wire brush. That was the one in the question. I'm just gonna put it right back. Kenji! Man, that's just dangerous. I would have got fired. That's what the glass guy said. How dare you run those in there with the impact gun? You would have been fired. That's fine. That's exactly why I work for myself. All right. Where's our question coil? This is going to be our role model number 1. That's the one we're going to look at. Now, for those who care about resistance tests, I'm not a big fan of it, but if the current ramp is jacked up, and maybe the resistance could change. I need to find out where's the primary for power and ground on this. So let me pull the wiring diagram, see what the power and ground, check the resistance value, and we can check the secondary and go from there. All right, we're gonna get hooked up. I'm on this neighboring pin here. The wiring diagram don't seem to be 100% accurate, but the power is going to be at D, pin D. So this look like it's the far left, and black is going to be A, so it's the far right. So just kind of putting my context clues together. On number 1, this red and pink, black and pink should be power, which key on, engine off. I mean, it's going up to 12 volts, so that's my power. That's when I'm gonna hook my amp clamp up. Next door should be my signal wire, so that's when I'm gonna hook my not my amp clamp, but my piercing pin to. So I'm going to be on 2 channels. I'm going to have my signal, and then I'm going to have my amp clamp on the power scale on the 12 volt facing power. All right, so we are going to be, I need to zero this out. We're going to put it on the low amp, and we need to change it. So 100 milliamps is going to be 1 amp. So I need to go to 1 volt scale. So I'm going to confuse myself here. All right, 1 volt. So we should see around maybe about 12 amps or so. But if it goes higher, then I'll change it. I don't want to. This can be a little confusing. I don't want to confuse myself or anybody else, but the formula is written right on it. All right, let's get the air intake on. I'm just gonna lay it over so it'll just get a value. All right, let's start it up. I got a trigger on. Here's my 2 millisecond per division. This is number 1. So theoretically, this coil is making 4 amps. This is the good coil. We still have our misfire. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. It's a, wait, gosh darn me. Let me see if I can raise this up to 10. So this is a 5-volt signal. We got a 5-volt square wave. This is the role model coil here. There's our current ramp. For the most part, it's smooth. I could probably reduce this 500 and we can get a more defined reading. I'm satisfied with that. Now let's go to the misfire data and see if our coil on number 2 is still misfiring. So we'll see if 2 is still misfiring, and it is, yep, still on cylinder 2. And it's actually a hard miss. It's still populating. All right, let's go to number 2 and see what we got. So despite cleaning the plug, we still have a misfire. I did have to cut some of the insulation, so I'm going to go to the same pins on the neighboring coil. I don't know how defined it's going. It's probably going to fade out. Fail to zoom in. Let's see if I can. So we're going to get on the same red or pink looking, I wrote it down. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not pink. It don't look pink, but orange is, I'm sorry. I was calling it pink and it's orange. See, I'm like, something's wrong with me. Orange is supposed to be signal. Okay. Am I crazy? No. Now that one seemed accurate. Orange and white. Orange and white on number 2 is signal, and pink and black is power. So that's correct. Okay. This looks accurate. Number 1 wasn't precisely reflective because the signal wire was purple. I don't know what I'm doing. Obviously. All right, we're on 2. I need to go to on my signal, which is the orange and white, and we're going to power. It's a little tighter on this one. Okay, so we're there where we need to be. All right, let's start this over again. We're gonna get on go back out, get on a maxi scope, put our air box back on. We're hooked up properly. I don't think I'm hooked up properly. Facing positive source. I wrote on my amp clamp the direction it's supposed to go, so I wouldn't have to look at the little power indicator. The power feed But I guess by the traditional logic of power, it's supposed to. I'm going that the typical direction. That's where I'm going. The conventional method, I guess, is what it's considered. Okay, all right, let's start up and then get a snapshot of this waveform. I'm gonna start over. Oh, the other one's putting out a lot of amps. Look at that. Did I do something wrong before? Oh, okay. Maybe I had changed the values. I'm gonna have to go back. I took a screenshot of the other one, so I want to see what was in my gallery. If I had changed the time base by mistake. Nope. The time base here. That was about 400 millivolts on the working coil, which is about which is almost 4 amps, and I was on 500 millivolt. This one is making about 8 amps. It's got a nice, it's a decent current ramp. There's no discrepancies in there. But it's definitely making a lot more than what the number 1 cylinder was. And I'm pretty sure I had it hooked up properly. Maybe my jaws weren't closed all the way. I mean, that's fine, because I was looking for any inconsistencies in the current ramp. We also have a good signal. Signal's coming in, making 5 volts. A nice square wave also. Maybe I didn't have my amp clamp hooked up very well on the number 1 coil. Like if it's not, the jaw's not closed all the way, it would show a lagging reading. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to recheck it. Yeah, so I didn't have it closed all the way. So the coils are reading properly and giving us a good value. So this is making, the number 1 is making 8 amps also. I should have, that was my fault. I should have made sure the jaws were checked. Again, I know this is like totally long-winded, but I'm a curious fella. So the coils theoretically should be fine. Theoretically, by the current ramp, it's drawing adequate current. We have a good signal. We didn't test the ground, but I'd imagine that the ground is operable because it's been able to draw current. It's able to charge. So one thing I will do is do the old school test, lift up on the coil, see if there's any sparking or popping, and we're hearing some type of discharge, and go from there. I'm gonna put some wire tape on this. Get this. Deal with that shortly. It's not gonna run that well. Then I'll do a compression test. I know it ain't gonna run that well. Oh, it did pop. Yeah, number 2 is definitely firing. That's a loud pop. I'm gonna do a compression test because it sounded like that cylinder is low on pressure. Let's do a compression test, and we'll do the number 1 cylinder as a comparison. Oh, let's pull these off. straight to number 2. Oh wow. There's our compression. 64 psi. I'm gonna do it one more time, make sure everything's tight. It's an OTC compression gauge, should be. Yeah, that didn't make anything right there. Could it be a burnt valve? Huh. That's even worse. Let me put it in number 1 and see how that flex. The gauge is accurate. I don't got that gauge. I know that thing worked. Let's put this plug. Look at that. And I'm being honest, I pulled number 2 and it was a little wet. I wonder if it just has a mildly blown head gasket or something. I mean, well, it could be fuel, because if fuel isn't, if it's not combusting because of low compression, it'll wet up that plug. What did I do with that gauge? I literally just put stuff down where I put it. I know this gauge is working, because that last time it made 0. Gauge is working. Look at this one. That's 160 psi. So yeah, that compression is low. Let's do a leak down test and see what happens. I know I should have just, hindsight is always 20/20, but hey, I learned something, you know. After me trying to bump the engine over, I couldn't get the valves to close up all the way, so I'm manually rotating the engine now so I can control where the valves are, because unlike most vehicles, just when you hit the starter, it just turns over automatically, and once it cranks, it ceases to rotate. So I'm going to manually rotate it, administer some air pressure, and see when it starts building up pressure. I know I'm on the right, in the right area. Now, one thing I did notice, look at this breather here, you'll see compression start to seep through, so it makes me assume that the piston is defective. You'll see blow by. Alright, so we're closing the valves now. That was the intake. I think that was the compression stroke. It's spinning free now. Here we go. This might be the compression stroke here. No. It probably was. We got a burnt valve or something. That's the intake. It's like I hear the air whizzing through the intake, but I don't hear anything through the exhaust system. This got to be the compression stroke right here. Let me make sure I can go without the exhaust. All right, this is the best I could get. I mean, this is displaying like this is over a 70% leak. And I've been rotating it, but it's not building any type of pressure, like closing off any valves or anything. Let's see if I can continue. Like, I'll move it and I'll see it jump up, so that must be the compression stroke I'm on. It'll drop. It's free spinning. And here I am coming back. That's the intake valve opening. And it's closing. That's where my compression is, right there. I'm gonna leave it right there, and I have to take an inspection camera, go down in here, because I don't know if the piston rings are defective or what. But I mean, I'd expect to see more blow by if the piston rings were damaged coming out the PCV system. Let me spin it over. Because the only thing left is to do a visual inspection. Compression drops, so we got to be on our exhaust stroke. I hear a tap too. I don't know if that have anything to do with it. So we're on compression now. I'm gonna leave this alone, get my inspection camera and look down in there. The dish. Pistons are just... What's that right there? Another recess. Okay, so these are slotted for the valves. I won't be able to see anything with on the head of the piston, so I got like an adapter where to allow you to look up. It has a mirror on it, so hopefully I'm gonna look at the valves and see if I see anything abnormal. And, go from there. I need to clean that off. If I can get there. All right, that's a lot better. Let's see what we can do. Hopefully I'm able to find something, get some... All right, I got one more option here, because I tried to take my inspection camera, look down inside the plug well, inside the cylinder, no avail. So I'm kind of around the options here, because I don't have the means of looking at the valves or anything 90 degrees. So I need to buy that camera to where I can look 90 degrees. I am going to buy that tonight, because this is just frustrating. You know, even though the Alltel comes with a camera to where you can look at an angle, it's just really not that defined, and I don't, it'd be like that. So I'm gonna pour transmission fluid down in here, fill the cylinder, just the dome of the piston, and then do another compression test. And if it builds compression, I know it's the piston. If it don't, then it's something upper related and the valve needs to be replaced. So I just got to get old school with this. And if it don't build compression, obviously we're going to have to tear the head down and see what's going on, do a replacement of a valve, or I doubt the head gasket's defective. She didn't complain anything about the head gasket. The coolant's low because you probably got evaporative loss or just some mild consumption over time, or a combination of both. That's it. Let's get into it. Let's pour some trans fluid down in there. It should be enough. take the basic camera, look down there. Yep, I did fill the entire piston, the top of it. And we're gonna get our compression tester, stuff that back in there and do a compression test. Okay, here we go. All right, let's do it. Do this one more time. See what we get. Oh, still didn't raise in value. Well, gosh darn. There's nothing wrong with that tester. That cylinder is saying got no compression. Gosh darn. All right. I want to conclude and say she got some valve train problems. Really, what needs to happen? Well, a valve can't be stuck. I don't think it's a stuck intake valve, because if it was, we would be getting abnormal readings while idled. We don't have that. It could be a stuck exhaust valve or a burnt exhaust valve. That's the only thing I could think of. All right, the last thing I've done, I added straight air pressure to the cylinder with the valves closed, and I was just checking the intake and then exhaust, because my speculations is that the exhaust valve is burnt, and the valve is closed now. And I turned the crank till it got very, very difficult, and that what you're hearing is the air compressor, but the exhaust system, there's air coming from there. I'm gonna put my hand back there, so I'm just gonna quarter the head's gonna have to be removed, and the exhaust valves the valves are gonna have to be replaced, because we put transmission fluid, the compression test. It didn't change the compression from the piston aspect of things. There's no air whizzing through the intake valve, and when I close all the valves, put air pressure in there, it's coming out the exhaust side. So it's plausibly going to be definitely going to be upper end. There's no mechanical noise. Didn't hear anything knocking, pinging, rattling. So everything's gonna, it's just leading to the exhaust valve being the problem, because again, there's no influence when idling. There's no map sensor or incorrect vacuum, so burnt valves happen. I'm gonna say it's not something that is uncommon, but it does happen. So I'm gonna quote her a valve job and see what she want to do from there. We put if anybody else decide to work on it, they'll be able to go back to that cylinder. So let's go with a question mark on it. All right, if I get the job, I'll pull everything down, and then we can do a part 2 of this. But until then, this is probably a long-winded diagnostic. But I'm gonna try to edit most of the irrelevant stuff, and I guess get to the milk and cookies. All right, it's been several days. I got some good news. I wound up buying a camera. This was $100. I bought it like $128. I bought it yesterday. I was filming. Did I say several days? It's been a couple days. I bought it. It came today. I bought it yesterday, so it's been about 3 days. But let me show you what I found. I'm gonna put the link in the description for this camera here. Let me show you how dead on I am. We're on the exhaust side. Look at that right there. Look at that. That's a burnt valve right there. Man, you don't understand. Burnt valve. Cracked. me see if I can get a little closer to it. What should I think? Oh yeah, this does have an enhanced feature. Let me see if I can get it fixed, because I can zoom in on this. I got one hand though. If I recall properly, let's see if I can. Yep, there you go. Nope. No, that is a zoom feature. That is a zoom feature. No, I didn't switch cameras. There we go. No, that did zoom in. You can see it's cracked right there. Hold on, let me get myself together. Man, oh man, oh man. You don't understand how excited I am. I mean, and I just could not deal with the fact that I couldn't put my eyeballs on this. But this little camera is worth the money. I paid $100 for my camera for my Alltel. This right here has a side view feature, and it's two sides. Let me see if I can get it to sit. I mean, it has the basic features for most of the cameras, but you can also, it's a button here, you can record and you can switch the view. I'm gonna go to the other side. That's the opposite side. So it has two cameras on the side, 90 degree. Then it's gonna go face down. And it has great lighting on it. You can adjust the lights and everything, if I recall. So there's another zoom feature. There's the lighting right there. Man, this camera's amazing. So amazing. So it seemed like, I don't know, what does this do then? Is that a zoom feature? I don't know. I'm still trying. Oh yeah, you can take photos, and if you can record it. If I hold it, I think I should be able to record it. There should have been another feature on it. Bear with me. What does this do? I'm just pushing buttons right now, seeing what's going to happen. Let's zoom in and out. Let's switch cameras. Man, that is amazing. Let me see. We should be on that same valve. Is that the one? I think this is the. Yep, there's. Oh my God, the clarity is amazing on this camera. So amazing. I wonder if I can zoom in a little further. I want to see if I can get it fixed in a better position. I rarely get excited about anything, and this right here takes the cake. If this broke 12 times over, I would buy this. Okay, let's see if we can zoom in. Oh, that's making it upside down, if I recall. Okay, did I not? I'm lost. Don't listen to me. So we're zoomed in. I think one of them made it upside down. What does this button do? Oh no, okay, so you can change the camera with this also. If I said that right. No. Ignore me. I'm just screwing around. I think this is probably the photos. Maybe that's what that is. I have to play with it. When I pull it out, I'll be able to mess around with it. Yeah, so okay, so I can review the photos. I'm gonna move this around, see what happened. Yep, so that's for me reviewing the photos. If I press the button here. So that's what that was. So that's back at the monitor. Yep, so I'm back at it. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this, send this to my customer. Now you do have the same functions as any other camera, most of them, but this one right here, you have record features. You can adjust the lighting. You have two cameras on here. I am throwing this link in there. This is amazing. This is just amazing. All right, again, let me talk to the customer. Since I got 100% confirmation of what we got going on, this explains 100% why we don't have any compression in here. Zero compression. I was suspecting the head gasket, but there's few signs that is blown. This is 100% confirmation here. Hit that link, subscribe to the channel, stay informed, and have a reassurance my work. And when I get this head off, we're gonna literally put our eyes on it. I'll see you on the next one.